Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun making the graphics.
Yeah. I have a lot of fun watching the graphics that she makes. I get to enjoy them.
I have an obsession with Canva. I did the 2-week free trial and like made a bunch of stuff.
What the fucking?
Well, now you can't change anything, right?
There's scissors beside you.
Well, some of them I can't.
Yeah.
See, it's like there's that little piece right there.
I don't think it's that piece though, because the last bag I opened up, I just like opened it up like a regular fucking weed bag.
If you can see my face right now, people. No, that's right there. I swear
I don't think that's the right hole.
I think it is. Look it.
I would love if this was the whole show, just you try to open this bag.
I know. I feel like using scissors is cheating.
I know, because then how do we reseal the bag after?
Yeah, I guess you have to use it all.
Right?
Where
it's
almost
a whole quarter.
I
know.
My hands hurt.
I know. Is there a
like
phone
I'm
number on
cramps
this?
In my fingers.
Is there a phone number on this package? There sure is. We need to call them. Western Cannabis Limited.
That's from Joel.
Yeah.
This is from Joel.
Yeah.
We just can't open the bag.
Yeah. So we should call them and be like, hey, we really love your product because we just smoked Strawberry Dream and it was amazing. But
good.
We can't smoke the Oreo Mint Kush because we can't open the bag.
My fingers really hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Faulty bag.
It is super crampy.
Definitely complain about mental anguish. You demand free products for mental anguish.
Well, do you like complain that it's unopenable, or do you say good job on keeping that child,
out of it?
Child safe.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, yeah, we can let them know. I mean,
we can cut it.
We can.
Like kids can't, but like, you know what I mean.
Fuck that.
Where are the scissors?
Smoking frosted tiger nuts.
Where are the scissors?
Beside you on that top thing. You know what I'm trying to say. On the top thing, there should be a pair of scissors. Unless I put just kidding, they're right here. They're within arm's reach of me too.
Oh, look at that.
Weird.
Good job.
Well, there we go. Just cutting LP.
It totally feels like cheating, but
when you want to smoke it, is it going to be
maybe
worth
it's just a fluke bag.
Wow. It smells like it's going to be worth it.
It's like, the candle that just like relights.
Yeah. Where's our chat?
Oh, right there. We thought at the
exact same time. Chill out.
Ambinator.
What
Hello.
up?
Thanks for joining us.
Ambinator. Ambinator.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, it is dope.
Is it what's after the name? Is that a wrench?
A bone?
A bone or a wrench?
I'm going with a wrench.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a bone. I see where you see that.
You have better eyesight than I do.
I don't know. I'm getting old now, man. My eyesight's starting to go.
I have terrible eyesight, but I have these giant glasses on, so that seems to
give
me a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, but I definitely need progressives now.
I have those. These are progressives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm scared to get them.
It's weird. It's weird at first, but now I'm blind without it. So.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Smoking a strawberry slurricane infused joint. Yum. It's a wrench. Yes. Sarah, we're awesome.
Might have been a bone, Alrighty. I think we're gonna get close to the countdown.
We're almost close to the countdown.
We have to get.
It's the final countdown. Well. Oh, I went to go seal the bag and I forgot we got it.
You cut it. We cheated.
We cheated.
My screen is counting up, so I don't know when this is going to start.
I was counting it. Oh, you're
weird.
right. Yeah.
Weird.
We go off the clock.
Okay, you tell us when we're 10 seconds in, Sam.
Well, it says now we're 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, no, I see what he's saying. It's right there, but that's not. I don't know if that's it. It says
Weird.
live.
Because that's what we're like.
That's how long we've been on for.
Live. Yeah. But we didn't go live at exactly.
Oh, but it's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock
we were talking about the countdown, and we
holy,
slightly missed it. So here we
those
go.
Graphics.
We got it. And one action.
Oh, hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. we're your two big girls. I'm Cupcake, and
I'm
that's
Rae Rae.
yeah.
I'm Rae Rae.
So thanks for joining us, everyone. Tonight we have a super special guest with us. This is Sam from Witchpolice Radio. Hello,
Howdy.
Sam. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person, but I'm glad we're still doing it. This remote way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm super glad that we're still doing it. I feel like we've really wanted to have you on the show for a very, very long time, but shit comes up, life happens, the pandemic, all the
For
stuff,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that time I interviewed both of you on my show when we were doing the. It wasn't even on my show; it was for the Manitoba Podcast Festival. That episode gets tons of downloads. It keeps popping up randomly. Like someone will have listened to it 3 years later and say, "Who found this?"
That's amazing. I love it. We had such a great time.
Yeah, everybody was so serious. When it's our turn, we're just like, "Hey, we're just gonna keep smoking weed."
Yeah, everything else was just like, here's some like really, really important information on what kind of equipment to use and like, all this technical stuff. And then yours was just so much more lighthearted, I guess. So you can call it.
That's a good way to put it. Thank you.
Yeah. People will probably like, how is there even a smoke sesh on the YouTube that gets so baked? How do they run that shit?
Yeah.
I've wondered that.
We're definitely like, age restricted. So I don't really want to give away my secret on the live, just in case they catch on to it. And then it starts giving us community strikes. So I'm not going to give away my little secret. But yes, we're definitely like age restricted. So, anybody over or like under 18 can't watch us. Like it has to be like an authorized account or whatever to log in to watch it. So
not a bad thing.
Yeah.
No,
but enough talking about us.
Yeah.
This is, our turn to interview you.
Sweet.
So tell us about Witchpolice. Like what exactly do you do on that podcast?
Well, I've been doing it for more than a decade now. It's a music interview podcast. I talk to local musicians and people who are music scene adjacent twice a week, 2 episodes a week, because I can't stop. And basically it's just everything from death metal to country to hip hop to jazz to classical to whatever, just anyone doing anything interesting that I find interesting as far as local music goes. I sit down, do a half-hour interview with them, throw some songs in there, and it started as a hobby, and now I can't stop at this point. I'm way too deep. I'm like episode 880 something, and it's just I can't stop even if I wanted to.
That's incredible.
That's super incredible. You had some amazing guests on too, like Biff Naked.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was really fun. She was awesome.
Sure.
She was in the car on tour, so like she's talking to people in the back seat, and like you can hear noises of traffic going by and everything. And she was absolutely fantastic, though. She was awesome. It was one of my favorite interviews because
we're
definitely
big fans.
she's famous. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of bands that are just like they played like a handful of shows in Winnipeg, or they're very, very underground, and she's famous enough that she really didn't need to give me that much time and that much kind of genuine conversation, but she was great. And like my wife's a big fan, and I recorded a birthday message for her after the interview, which was awesome. Like like she's just like the sweetest person. And so I'm always happy to hear good things happening with her because a Winnipegger and someone who's like made it big and supports really good causes, obviously. And so she's cool.
Yeah. That's what
amazing.
I love about her too. She's incredible.
I'm so sorry. So we have no lighter. No lighter joint right now.
Pigeon.
So I'm just gonna go quickly grab a lighter.
Oh, I thought we had one. Like
no,
was one right here.
There was one, and I think I took it upstairs. So
I feel like you should have like hundreds of them just based on what you do here in this.
We do too.
We have
hundreds.
Like
there should be one like right around the corner, maybe.
Maybe.
Thank you so much, Pigeons. That's very sweet of you to say. Yeah, Biff is incredible. Like she's huge for harm reduction and like animal rights and just everything. She's an incredible person. So do you have like any other favorites? Like do you have a top person aside from Biff?
No, well, you know what? People ask me that a lot, and it's hard because I think a lot of the time some of the best episodes I do are with people who are completely unknown. Yeah. And a lot of that is because, I've had some famous people on the show, but in a lot of cases they've done 20 interviews that month or that week. And I'm just another one, and they're going through the motions. And whereas some band that's never had anyone pay any attention to them before is going to sit there and be super pumped, and they're going to be like, the whole thing's going to be a lot of fun, and they're going to promote the hell out of it afterwards and spread the word about it. And that kind of like, whereas someone, like I've had Fred Penner on twice, and Fred Penner is like unbelievable. Like just, I mean, that was one of the few times I've been starstruck by a guest, because it's Fred Penner, right?
Sure. I grew up watching Fred Penner.
Everyone did, right?
Yeah.
And and he was like just the nicest person, like as nice as you imagine he is that nice in real. It was awesome. But I mean, like, to me, that was the most exciting famous person I interviewed, because it's Fred Penner. Like, I mean, I grew up listening to him. My kids grew up listening to him. Everyone, he's just national treasure, right?
I think like around when you interviewed him, my mom and I were out at Pauline's for breakfast, and he was staying at the hotel because he was here doing a show at the Forks or something.
I was on that show at the Forks.
Yeah. So it was really funny. And all of a sudden I was sitting there, and I hadn't seen him in a really long time. And he's, aged since last time I've seen him. And I was like, Mom, I think that's Fred Penner over there, because he like came into the restaurant, and then like even our server came over, and I was like, I think that's Fred Penner. And she was like, oh my God, now I feel weird. But we were all like super starstruck. And then, he like talked to us because we were leaving the restaurant all together. And then, it was really funny. He was making jokes with me and my mom. And I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I was pretty starstruck when I saw him too, for sure.
I think everyone in Canada who's like under 60 is starstruck by him. Like,
for sure.
Kind of want to smoke weed with Fred Penner.
You should get Fred Penner on this show. That would be incredible.
That would be so much fun.
I don't know if he'd do it, but that would be amazing. Yeah,
I know.
Let's start reaching out. Hey, Fred Penner.
He has an adult show now, right?
Yeah, long time.
Yeah,
big time, long time friends.
I went to junior high with your kids, kind of.
Right? Throwing that connection.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
Gordon Bell.
Yeah, you don't know me, but we definitely know you.
So, do you like? What's the largest band you've ever interviewed? So, like, I just imagine that being either super fun or really difficult.
Largest in terms of like success level, or size of amount of
people, like members. Yeah, members.
Oh, usually I try to keep it to like a handful, because it's otherwise it's chaos. I did one episode that was 2 bands at once, and we did this one in person, and I used to do them in person before the pandemic, and then I switched to remote ones because of the pandemic, and now it's just been so much easier than me driving around this whole city twice a week to interview people. So I did one in, I don't know, 2019 or something, and it was Union Stockyards and Agapito, both bands which share some members, but it was like 8 people or 9 people, and we had one microphone we were passing around, and there's a video of it. It's chaos, complete chaos. It's fun, but I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily put that up as a good episode of the show, because it's funny if you kind of know the people involved, but otherwise it's just complete absolute chaos.
Maybe that would have been a good like live show.
Yeah. Well, I've done some of those too. I've done some live podcasts. I had not in many years, because it's a lot of work, but those are super fun. Like just the stage full of musicians, and they play songs, and I interview them and that kind of thing.
For sure.
So your style of podcast, like you do a pre-record, and then are you like editing it before you release it? So like once a week.
Twice a week. I put out 2 a week, and that's like year round too, even through the holidays and stuff. I tend to, once I got into this, maybe I shouldn't do it, but once I got into the groove of doing 2 a week, I can't stop now. So even though it would make sense for me in a lot of cases to stop doing it, I still do anyway. But yeah, no, I record on Monday and Wednesday nights usually, and then I release on Tuesday and Friday typically. Sometimes it changes depending on how busy I am and stuff. But so I record the interview, and then every episode has usually 4 songs by the artist kind of interspersed in between the conversation to flesh it out a little bit. So I do that editing, and if there's something really weird that someone said that I don't want in there, I'll cut that out. But for the most part, it's basic conversation stays as it is. I throw the songs in, throw it online, because I don't have time. It's a 1-person job, and I'm doing 2 a week, so it's very much here's the conversation, here's the songs, done.
It's a lot of work though.
Well, and that's a lot of music to like. I know you're really into. You used to be in a band, right?
Yeah, I was in a few bands. None of them that were any good, but well, I mean, yeah, we can maybe get into that after. But yeah, I have been in bands.
See, Sam, if you were here with us in the middle, we'd be hotboxing you, and then you'd be more willing to tell us about that.
Yeah. Just like the truth serum there.
Yeah. Next time. Yeah. But no, yeah, I've been in bands, and this was kind of my this podcast was kind of my way to stay involved. Like when I had kids, I didn't have time to play in bands anymore. And this didn't start off as an interview podcast at all, but it became sort of my way to stay involved with what's going on in the local music scene, because otherwise I would have just I kind of would have lost it. You know, I didn't get out to shows for a long time because I have 2 kids and just that they're 4 years apart. So when one was old enough that I could start going out again, the other one was born, and it really just kind of slowed that right down. So this has kept me sort of involved in knowing what's happening and hearing new records and things like that. So it's worked out really well.
That's incredible.
I almost feel like it's a little bit of pressure because you've interviewed so many people, and we're essentially having you on our like Friday night smoke sesh, and we're supposed to be like interviewing you. So I feel like you're kind of judging us a little bit on like how we're interviewing you.
You know what though? I think you're doing it right. I think you're doing it right because I always like when listening to other people's shows and stuff. My worst, the kind of interview I hate listening to or watching is when someone obviously has like a list of questions written down.
Yeah,
because it tends to kill the momentum, right? I've heard there's been shows I've heard where people are interviewing someone that I would like kill to interview, and I'm really jealous of them. And then I watch what they're doing, and they ask a great question, they get a great response, and then instead of following up on it, they just move on to the next thing that's completely unrelated, and the whole flow is dead. So this casual conversation is way better, I think, for any kind of interview, because you're just talking back and forth, right? It's not
too perfect.
It's more like
because I feel like sometimes when we've like like interviewed people or like had them hung out with them on the smoke sesh, and then we've asked like a really random off sort question, or it's just like the conversation has gone in like a left direction. That other person's just like, so what are we moving on to? You're like, all right, no random conversation then.
I totally had a question and I forgot it.
Sorry, did I distract you?
Yeah, totally.
No, it's good. If you guys run out of questions, I can just start asking you questions, right? I mean, do enough of that.
Oh, I was gonna say, so what brought you to start the Manitoba Podcast Festival, and what is that all about for people that don't know?
Well, the festival is not currently active because the pandemic sort of threw a wrench in that. We used to it basically started when I was an episode of the Ever Sick podcast, which was Stephen Richard, who is sort of a member of the community as well, and Roger Boyer, who is a filmmaker who also had a podcast. And I went to hang out on their show to talk about podcasting, and we sort of afterwards hung out after the show was over and decided we should do something because we were discovering all these new local podcasts, and we thought we should make some kind of effort at forming a community. So we came up with the idea of doing a festival, and the first 2 happened at the Park Theater, and there was a bunch of panels on various topics about podcasting, and everyone kind of all these tables in the room where all the different people had their shows and they were talking. It was great. It was a great way to sort of just everyone hang out and meet each other and learn things from each other and tips and tricks and everything. And that sort of evolved into our monthly meetups, which we've started again, which is basically anyone who makes a show or wants to make a show or wants to know about making a show, come down, eat donuts with us, and and just like talk to us, because I've made some really good friends from this community, just like people that I never would have met before, because otherwise we don't have anything in common, but we make these stupid DIY radio shows and we're somewhat obsessive about it, right?
Like the first when we went to the Manitoba Pod Fest, like in person there, we met Giving Up the Ghost. They've been a bunch of people. They've been on our show 2 times already. Yeah. So it's been that was such a great time. I really had a lot of fun. And then even when it was online, like that was great because you were able to like join in from the comfort of your own house, right? And like
I'm doing right now on your show.
Yeah, totally.
Like so it was great. That was And remember we were trying to do the pre-recorded announcement for it, or like the little like Instagram video, and we're trying to
all the shows did videos. Yeah.
And then with the bloopers that we had, we should have just made a blooper reel because it took us like 27 takes just to be like, hey guys, join us on for Manitoba Podfest.
Well, I was recording an intro for a show that my next episode that I'm releasing this afternoon, and like I was actually considering releasing all of my failed takes at recording an intro because the amount of like creative swearing that's coming out of my mouth when I'm trying to say like a very simple like handful of sentences about whoever the whatever the event is I'm talking about, it's brutal. It's like the amount of stop start. I must have on my memory cards like thousands of hours of just swearing at my recorder because I'm screwing up a simple sentence.
Just make an entire episode just like that.
Yeah,
I probably could. I'm sure there's enough. I have enough episodes.
But I feel like that's so why fun. I love live, because it's like, you're live, so whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen. There's only been a few incidences where you've had to go back and like, try to blur shit to blur somebody's face out. One of the smoke sessions.
Oh wow,
a lot of work.
Yeah.
So like,
I imagine, yeah.
So I can't imagine trying to edit a live video every week. Like an hour-long smoke sesh.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
Editing out the parts where we're just like,
you'd never put out a show. It was just,
exactly. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. But do you think the Manitoba Podcast Festival is going to come back?
I hope so. I mean, the last meetup we did, which was the first one in years, we all talked about. You were at that one, so we all talked about kind of like we should do this again. The only thing is, the last few. I mean, definitely other people have helped, but I feel like I've been sort of one of the main driving forces behind it, and it's so much work. And so like if we can get enough other people sharing the workload, and I mean there've been some great people who've helped out like in previous ones too, for sure, but I think just we spread it out more and get more people involved, I think we can pull it off, because it was fun. And I think that like this kind of connects to my show and what I do with my show and everything, is that this reminds me of like the punk scene when I was a teenager. The podcasting thing, it's all DIY. Everyone's doing weird stuff, and like everyone likes each other's weird stuff, even if it's totally out there. And I mean, Giving Up the Ghost, you mentioned them earlier, they're doing paranormal investigations and shit, right? And like that's a cool DIY thing to do. Like I would never have thought to do a show about that. Your show, I mean, Sean Geek, like all these shows are doing really cool stuff, and it's like it's really supportive. Everyone loves each other, and everyone wants each other to do well. And so I definitely see parallels to that, being playing punk bands to this, which is awesome. So I'd like to keep it going if we can.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That was my first meeting attending, and it was really great. Like I met a couple of new people that I hadn't met before at events and stuff. And checked out some of the podcasts, and really interesting, Yeah.
I'm so sorry I wasn't able to make it. It was my day off and I slept in.
We're going to all hold that against you. It's going to be...
Yeah, you're actually like banned from every future.
You're not allowed. You're forbidden.
I wake up casual, and just like no alarm. I look at my phone and I was like, sorry, man. I'm so sorry. And you're like, it's cool. I'm here.
Yeah. I went with Jazz.
Yeah. Shout out Jazz. Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, it's a nice community, and I keep seeing more shows like popping up just on Instagram and stuff, and I hope that we can convince some of those people. I don't know them, but I hope we can get those people out too, because the more the merrier, right? It's all about getting the word out about all this weird stuff everyone's doing in their spare time, all these strange hobbies we all have.
So, like, do you have like kind of like an odd, like the weirdest person that's been on your show, or like maybe you don't want to talk about that live, but
I definitely have some weird people who've been on the show. Like, I don't know how much I want to get into it, but there have been some people that like have, because I get a lot of people reaching out to me and they say, hey, I have a new album coming out, and I've never heard of them, and I give it a listen, and if it doesn't have to be something I love, it's just if it's something cool and something interesting, something that I want to talk about. And a lot of the times that is something that's really weird, because like, how did you make this? Like, what the hell are you thinking when you made, that kind of thing. And I've had some just bizarre people on there who have made some interesting music, but like it kind of makes sense when I meet them, sort of where the music is coming from. But I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone that was like, stood out as being completely insane or anything, but there's some weird ones.
Yeah.
Just at that point, you're like, I'm really happy we're doing this, through a computer. You're not at your place.
I've done some of those in person. Some of those happened in person too, but yeah.
Oh wow. Sure. Yeah, super awkward.
But you must get some of those too on your show, right? I mean, just based on the subject matter, you must have some people who are like fairly extreme.
They're like that stays on social media. I feel like if that does happen, it's not like we have them coming to the studio where, showing up. We've only had one person show up.
I don't know.
And we nipped that right in the butt. But I feel like we've been pretty lucky. Knock on wood, right? Like,
yeah. So I was gonna ask you too, if like you liked all the music that's been on your show. So I guess you don't have to like it for you to be on, for the person to be on the show.
It helps.
For sure. I'm sure you're like much more interested in the interview, right?
Yeah, the conversation will be better if I like it. But I mean, it doesn't have to be. It has to be interesting in some way, and whether that means the music is good, whether that means the music is like particularly awful that I want to find out more, or if it means that like there's some backstory too. I mean, there could be a band that has a really interesting story, even if it's not my bag, like musically, it's worth talking about because, or they've accomplished something really cool, and it may not be my thing. I mean, just over 800 and whatever episodes, like there's bound to be some that are not my favorites, but
for sure, that's a lot.
Just one of the questions, like, so why do you like that type of music?
Well, I have actually asked that before, though. And a lot of it is with like this is gonna make me sound old for sure, but I think we're all similar ages here, so you might agree with me. But the whole like kind of current SoundCloud rap thing, like the I don't get it, and I've tried to get it, and like I've had people on trying to explain it to me who are like 20 years old, and it just sounds like a toilet to me. Like I don't understand it. And so, but I'm interested in that sense too. Is like, what is this thing that I don't get, and why do all the kids like it, and why? What am I missing as a a guy in my 40s? What's not clicking with me, right? So, I mean, even something like that where I would never listen to it by choice on my own time, other than to prepare for an interview. But I want to know. Like, why is this so popular? Why does this work for all these people who are not me?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, there's some weird ones out there.
Right?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity.
Even like that whole like ASMR,
like
this, or the soap cutting, or like the sounds. Like my stepkids love that shit. Karma loves that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it.
So are your kids like as into music as you are?
No, they listen to music, and a lot of it is kind of alien to me too, because I think that one of the things that I've noticed, the older I get, the more people I interview who are like this, but the way a lot of people get music now is totally different, right? I mean, people they're finding it on like TikTok and shit. And so a lot of the time there'll be a song that my kids are singing, and I'll say, "What song is that?" And they know the name, but they have no idea who wrote it, or they don't have the album or anything, right? It's like, "Oh, do you have this record?" And it's like, "What are you talking about, Dad?" Like, TikTok, right? So I mean, I think it's definitely changing the way people kind of just generally consume music, which is, I mean, it always changes, right? But it's weird.
Trying to keep, I know, again, like this, trying to keep up is crazy. I've never thought that I'd be at that age where it's like I feel old now, because to think about like you were around when like the internet was like,
before
the internet,
when it was dial up, before internet, right? Cell phones, like it just, it's crazy.
Yeah,
we're in a weird time.
And you remember dial up?
Totally. Oh yeah. So the sound is embedded in my brain. The dial-up sound is never gonna forget.
Mine too. Yeah, 100%.
I'm like, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go.
I was just gonna say, I'm also like, I'm a Luddite too. I don't use any streaming services, which maybe is kind of weird as someone who does a podcast. But all my music is on CD, tape, or record, and like so I have this ridiculously huge collection of local stuff going back to the 80s and whatever. But it's all physical. And so a lot of the time people will send me a message saying, "Hey, I'm interested in being on your show. Listen to my new record." And it's a Spotify link. And I have to say, I don't know what to do with this.
You're telling them you got to go burn me a CD.
People have done that. People have burned me a CD and dropped it off at my house. And then I've listened to it. And I've got them on the show. But yeah, I just don't want to use it, because I feel like I've already built up all this collection of stuff that I would feel weird just leaving it on the shelf and not actively kind of engaging with it. Yeah. And then what happens if the system goes down? Like that's my biggest fear, is like, what happens if Spotify and Apple and all these things, they probably won't, but what if they just die, and then suddenly all that music that you've listened to for the past however many years is just gone?
Yeah.
And I'll be sitting here with my tapes like, yes, I have the power now.
Yeah, totally. I control the world.
Like, I control the whole world now.
Yeah. I'm the only one who has this.
I own all the music.
Yeah.
I was like, I own all the VHS Disney movies. Do you think I could like rule something? Original copies of the Disney movies?
Yeah, those are
giving up the ghost.
If Disney Plus dies, you're good. You're covered.
Too funny.
What is Tracy trying to say? Controversy. Controverse?
I don't know.
I was like, I read the first one was controversy.
I don't know.
What up, Hannah? Giving up the ghost?
We were just talking about you giving up the ghost.
It's cool you get the live feedback. That's kind of nice. I mean, I wish I had that on mine, but people listen to it after the fact, so it's not possible. But this is cool. Yeah, I like that you get. I don't know what controversy means either, but controversy.
Well, it's. I mean, to be fair, yeah, we have it's like a 30-second or 20-second delay.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be saying something, and then within 20 seconds, we switch subjects about what we're talking about, and then finally the comments come through, and we're like, "What?" I guess we forgot what we were just saying.
Your podcast,
my controversy podcast. Did Tracy have a controversial podcast?
Oh, definitely all good stuff, of course. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what's going on over there.
It's all right, so, Tracy.
I want to ask, how did you come up with the name?
Everyone asks me this, and I'm stuck with the name because I've had it for so long. So I feel like I keep having to explain it. I should just I don't know. I should record like an episode that's episode 0 or something, and it's just me explaining the name. But
Sam's waving like,
sorry.
It's actually not even remotely as good of a story as it sounds like it would be. Like I have this weird name, and it's really boring. But I can explain it to you if you want. But it's really not that fun. But this goes way back before I had the podcast. I was watching a movie. I think it was Rosemary's Baby. We were watching Halloween movies on Halloween with a bunch of my friends, and at some point in the movie, I said, "Why doesn't she just call the police?" And then my friend Shayna said, "Who's she going to call, the Witchpolice?" and so I remembered that because it was funny, and like I used to, especially back then, write things down when someone would say something funny. So I wrote down at some point Witchpolice, and then like a couple of years after that, I was in a band called Dynamo, and we made this kind of like weird experimental music, and we needed a title for a song, so we called the song "We Are the Witchpolice," based on that Witchpolice thing from before we were watching the movie. And then a little bit after that, we recorded that song and another one called Spaceship, and we weren't playing shows because it was just a project we did in like a basement, so I wanted to put music online so people could listen to it because we weren't putting out records or anything. And I made a free blog site. I needed to call it something. One of the songs was called Witchpolice, so I did witchpolice.blogspot.com, and that became the site where you could get all my stuff. And that turned into like a repository for all of my old weird bands. I digitized all these tapes and threw it up there, and then all my friends' bands, we started posting all that music up there, and eventually that evolved into the podcast. That doesn't exist anymore. That site's gone. But when we started doing the podcast, I had just learned what a podcast was. It was 2012, I guess. And I discovered, I mean, not the first one obviously, but I discovered this thing called podcasts, and I wanted to make one. I just had a kid. I had one kid and another one on the way, and I wanted to hang out with my friends. So we just sat down for like 2 hours and talked about music, and it was extremely boring, but it's unlistenable. It's still online if you want to find it, but it's unlistenable. The first episode of the show, and we needed to name it something.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to do like feeds or any of this stuff, so I just posted it on the Witchpolice site, and I had to call it something. So it was like Witchpolice Radio, because it was named after the song, which was named after the thing in the movie. And so now I'm stuck with it because I just kept it, and it's meaningless. And but I guess people remember it. Maybe.
I think it's a funny story.
I think it's great.
I think
and Witchpolice is hilarious.
Yeah.
We're gonna call Witchpolice.
That is funny.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the story.
Yeah.
I've been curious.
It's not descriptive of what I do at all though on the show. So that's like maybe a not so much of a positive, because people seeing the name, like your name of your show, it's very clear what your main subject matter is, right? Witchpolice, like what the hell is that?
But that or baking,
yeah. People think we bake things.
Even with the podcast, though, I feel like that's spelling
true.
Podcast,
true.
Right?
Yeah, maybe they just eat 2 baked girls,
or they just think it's a typo. Just like, okay, sorry. Quickly, we're smoking the frosted tiger nuts that you gifted us last week for Cupcake's birthday. So good. I wanted you to smell this super quick. So good.
Are you telling the listeners to smell it, or are you gonna like hold it up to the camera?
Right. I wish the smell.
You need scratch and sniff. Yeah.
It's smell-o-vision. It'd be lovely. For sure.
So Sam, do you I'm like, this is nothing about podcast or music at all, but do you smoke weed, or have you ever smoked weed?
I have. And I'm. It's weird because like I have, and I'm very glad it's legal. I'm glad that there's like it's available to people, but I feel like there's always been an aspect of it that has annoyed me, and I feel maybe this is not the show to talk about it because they don't want to piss anyone off. But I always felt that like back before it became legalized, right? Whenever they had the rallies at the Ledge, I always felt that it was not. I didn't think it was ever going to work because it was a bunch of teenagers partying and freaking out and having like this big loud thing. And it always seemed to me that like to make it happen, you need to get like some civilized, calm adult people like just going to talk to politicians and be like, hey, look, this is why we want to legalize. Here's all the benefits. Here's all the positive stuff about it. And the whole like, look at me, I'm so high, I'm melting into the ground and I'm wearing like a cat in a hat and whatever. Like that shit just always seemed like no one's going to take this seriously ever. And I mean, there's obviously a lot of really good positive reasons to make it legal and make it available and all this stuff. And like that to me just, it was like embarrassing, you know. It was like, oh wow, I gotta walk around the Ledge if I'm anywhere near this thing because I don't want to be part of it. And like, no offense to people who would went to it and did that because obviously it looked like a lot of fun. but I feel like, I mean, I worked in.
I feel like the majority of those people really enjoyed that they could go there and smoke weed, and there's cops all around and they're not doing anything about it, right? So it's like that's the aspect of it, right? I get, but I understand. You're like, you're giving stoners a bad name, man. Right?
Well, because like I know lots of people who are professionals, who are adults who smoke weed, right? And it was a normal thing. It is a normal thing. It's totally fine, but it's like those people are not the image I don't think that you want to have, even though that's obviously a very large part of the culture, right? But from my perspective, like coming, you know, I work as a journalist. I worked as a journalist back then too, and whenever that story would be covered, whether it's on TV, on radio, well, not radio, but TV, online, newspapers, whatever, I always knew what picture they were going to choose. Like you can go there and look at the crowd and you know exactly which person's going to be on the front page. And it's always the most ridiculous person that's there, right? The guy with a 6 foot long joint and like, you know, an enormous hat with a pot leaf on it. And it's like, it always seemed to me to be completely the wrong sort of message about it. But I mean, it obviously worked out. It's legal. People can do that, or they can be professionals and smoke it. It doesn't really matter. But I don't know, that kind of stoner aspect of it, even though there's some great music, great movies, great art and stuff that's been created by that kind of subculture, it always just kind of bummed me out a bit, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's how I feel about people that go to the Ledge now.
Well, now it doesn't even make sense. Like, you can just go to your basement.
Try to get people to go to the Ledge.
Yeah, like that's just
so it doesn't make sense.
No,
it doesn't.
Because now they have laws where they can, like, you know,
there's a stupid amount of things happening on 420 this year.
Yeah, there is. Winnipeg Nightlife Awards and Tawana's wedding socials on 420.
Else I just saw.
It
was.
Sam, you're in the final round for Winnipeg Nightlife Awards.
Did I make it through?
Yeah,
that's awesome. I hope I win because, like, I'm not gonna win, but it would be super funny if I did because the whole vibe of that event is not me at all. Like, it seems very much like nightclubs and stuff, and like I hate those things. Like, I mean, no offense to anyone who's into it, but like the idea of going and spending like $40 to go into a place and like sit there listening to bad, loud music and having to dress nice, and when I could just listen to a record in my basement, you know?
Having an expensive drink. Having an expensive drink.
Stupid expensive drinks. Yeah.
There's no food there. You don't get food.
Yeah. Well,
they pass around like a couple of hors d'oeuvres.
I don't want to
walk around with plates. And then
but it would be funny if
samples, a couple of samples like of Absolute or whatever, because like that's a sponsor or something like that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I go every year.
But you've been nominated, right? Like a bunch of times, haven't you? Yeah.
But it's because like I know a lot of that. We know a lot of that community too, right? So like, you know, Kirby's always nominated. We've had Kirby on the show a few times, especially too in the beauty industry. Like, so I work in the beauty industry, right? So you have like, you know, salons there, makeup artists, lash artists. So it's kind of like we all know each other. So it's a nice little event to be able to see everybody at once. But like when we went, we were mostly outside just getting baked.
Sounds about right.
Is this your first year being nominated?
As far as I know, I never really paid attention to it before. So if I've been nominated, I think it is though. Yeah. I mean, I've been nominated for other stuff, but this is I don't know who nominated me. But it's kind of cool. Just because, you know, it's a different audience than I thought gave a shit about my little show. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, congrats.
All the love to you.
Yeah,
we're gonna vote for you every day.
So vote for Sam. That's at like
WNLA.
There you go.
.ca. Winnipeg Nightlife Awards.
Go and vote.
Yeah.
And then she's for content creator or something.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Okay. I will vote for you as well then.
Yeah. So that's dope. I feel like I've just like I only create content once in a while now.
Well, this is content. Like, this counts, right?
Yeah, this totally counts.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. This is kind of going back to what you're talking about before, and what I was ranting about before with the subculture and everything. Do you think that there's? I feel like every day I see like 5 new weed stores. Mm-hmm. Is there like you're more involved in the actual kind of that whole business than I am? When does it stop? Like, it's great that they're on every street corner, but eventually, isn't there going to be too many? Like, is there? Like, I don't know. It seems unsustainable to me to see like, every day there's new ones popping up everywhere, and like, how can they be competitive? I don't.
I guess like it just the people, the quality of their product, the knowledge of their staff. So like I think people were gonna you're gonna get the people that want like the cheap stuff, so they're gonna go to places like Canna Cabana,
right.
And then you're gonna have the people that like more like the mom and pop kind of corner stores that are like in their area, so then like near my place I have like Fiddler's Green and Ashdown Cannabis, like both great places, so
walking distance for you,
and like incredible people that own it, right? So love Marley, love RJ, went to high school with RJ, so it's
but it definitely becomes
just like, the people kind of like
because that's what it
support, right?
That's essentially what it comes down to now, right? Because like when cannabis first became legal, like there was only 2 companies that were allowed to open up. So that's there was like you didn't really have a choice as to where you went, right? And you also needed to have like $1 million, I don't know, $500,000 to a lot of money to fucking would be able to. The government didn't allow it yet, right? So then now that you're able to, everybody's like, well, I want to try and make money selling weed. Of course, we want to make a living selling weed, but like, I don't think the way that it's like turned out to be for legalization, I don't think anybody really expected it. So now, it's harder to make a living trying to sell weed. Now it's becoming about who you make relationships with, and you start getting regulars in your store, right? Because you build that repertoire now with them in that relationship, and they enjoy the atmosphere and stuff, right? Because there are so many. It's like how you go to your like nearest Tim Hortons or your favorite Tim Hortons. They know your coffee order.
Coffee shop.
Yeah, a local coffee shop. They know every day I'm coming to get a double, right? See the same people every day. That's how it should. That's how it is for like weed stores now.
I guess, yeah.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. It just seems like there's so many of them. I don't know.
There was an article, right, that there were more pot shops in Winnipeg than Tim Hortons.
Yeah, which is crazy because there's so many Tim Hortons.
Yeah, exactly. There's one on like every corner.
Yeah. But now you have like other companies buying the other companies out.
Sometimes the big companies buy out the small companies.
Yeah.
So
and it's giving the small companies more choice because it's like maybe they're not making the living that they thought they were gonna make.
Yeah. Let's try to support the independently owned ones.
Yeah. It's definitely awesome if you can, like we have the shops that we really love.
Like the shop owners, we've had a bunch of them on the show. Like even Sean Supercraft, he's opening a second location here in Winnipeg. So
they're just like really good people, right?
Incredible people and like really
fireweed,
so
super fireweed.
And he makes relationships with the people that sell it. So it's like he knows that like it's coming from good people, and
he knows he's smoked the weed. He knows what kind of weed he wants in the store, right? And so you're guaranteed to get quality. Yeah. Whereas some shops you can go into, maybe they're just buying budget weed because trying to turn a profit or whatever. They have such a wide selection.
Yeah, this is like hand selected, pretty much. So.
Right. Budtenders don't really know what they're selling. They're just like, oh, this is a sativa. It kind of makes you, awake. This is an indica. It makes you tired. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not really what I'm interested in.
Well, I guess that's the problem, right? They have people who are like connoisseurs, and there are people who are just going in to be like, give me something that'll knock me out, or give me something that'll make me relax or whatever. And
What's the highest THC amount?
Yeah, that's a common one.
I'm sure they get a lot of that at the stores. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
But you can't even trust that nowadays. So
yeah. So you, like, I remember at the meetup that we were talking about, people can watch your show or like hear it on Shaw, is it?
Yeah, it's on. I think Shaw's. I think it's called Rogers. I don't know. They some kind of merger, right? But it's Shaw Cable Access is what I refer to it as because that's what I know it as. And they play local stuff, like local content. So they emailed me randomly out of the blue a few years ago and said, "Can we broadcast your show on TV?" I haven't had cable in 25 years, maybe more. So I've never seen the channel. And I was like, "Yeah, here, take whatever you want, go right ahead." Like that's cool. And so I send them, a batch of like 20 or so episodes every few months, and I guess they go on TV because people send me photos saying, "How did you get on TV?"
That's amazing.
It's really cool. Yeah. And I've seen, like, I've been at people's houses who have cable, and they go to the channel guide thing, and it's like Witchpolice Radio like 5 times. So it plays all day. I think they just loop, however many episodes, and so at any given time I have no idea what episode's on. Like there could be one on right now, and I could not tell you when it's from, who I'm interviewing. But yeah, it's cool. It's a nice kind of bonus way to get the show out there.
That's amazing.
Does that mean that we've been on TV one time?
Yeah, you might have. I don't know. I don't know if that was before, or I'm not sure. I'll have to have you on again, and then you
just throw that in there.
Yeah. But yeah, I basically told them, like, do whatever you want with this because, like, first of all, I'm not going to see it anyway.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's the way to promote the show and more importantly promote the artists that are on the show, right? That's the idea. Definitely. Is like to get that music out, especially if it's some unknown band, some local band, to more people. I mean, obviously, you put Fred Penner on there, everyone's going to watch because it's Fred Penner, and why, of course you would. But yeah, if it's some band that just released their first tape and they've played 3 shows and they want to get their name out there, this is a cool way for maybe their parents will turn on TV and watch cable access.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, that's incredible.
So has anybody, like, after your show kind of become more successful, like, has your show really helped some artists?
I don't think because I have to ask them, I guess. I don't think because of me. I'm sure it helps with,
Sam's just like, yeah, I'm amazing.
Yeah. It's all me. I take all credit.
The question sounded better in my head before.
Boosted all the careers.
I want to be thanked first at the Juno Awards, and
I want to thank Witchpolice.
But actually, I have been thanked in some liner notes of albums, which is really cool. Like that's the coolest thing ever. Looking through the thank yous, and then I'm like, the 50th name down, or it's still awesome though. It's like obviously being on the show was important enough to whatever band it was that they would include that there. So it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's really sweet.
Trace says weed business is a good tax write-off. All right.
It probably is. Yeah.
Rick, good way to look at it. Rick says not going to be a millionaire, opening one store. Truth.
Oh. Speaking of Rick, Sam, we do have a little segment on our show where one of our regulars, Rick, he gets 2 minutes.
Rick's rant.
To rant about anything he wants to. So we call it Rick's rant. And so we're just going to play that now.
Yeah.
You have it pre-recorded?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, oops.
So
watch out.
So everybody, this is Rick's rant.
Where is it? Right there. Rick's rant.
Hey, it's Rick in the Shed for the Two Big Girls podcast for Rick's rant. I am diligently going through the legislative review of the Cannabis Act that was released a couple days ago. It's 45 double-sided pages. I haven't gone through it all yet, but I have skimmed through it so far. And so far what I've come across is that edibles aren't going to be increased. They're still going to be 10 milligrams. They've still got to do some research on it. They're all paranoid. So I don't know what that's going to help. And other than that, I really didn't see anything of value here, except they're talking about giving companies grants. So I guess taking taxpayer dollars and helping out some of these cannabis companies continue to survive. Who's going to get a majority of those grants is going to be those big companies that are losing a lot of money. So my rant of the day is about, after 5-6 years, they were late because of COVID. That's what they blamed. But after all that time that they were sitting at home in their office, they did nothing. And now they came out with a review, and the review absolutely did nothing for the industry. Like it actually, so far I haven't seen anything. If anybody else has read this review over and can, let me know if there's something I should be paying attention to. But I just flipped through some of this, and then there's nothing. There's a whole bunch of recommendations. I kind of skimmed through all the recommendations, and there wasn't really anything of value. So we're going to have to wait again to see if there's going to be any changes to the Cannabis Act. I guess in another 4 years. I don't know if this is a completed copy that they're going to put through, but they really don't have any recommendations. If you want to check me out, I will be going over this over the next little while and going over the people that's involved with this. And on my Rumble account, I'll be doing a video, and I'll be going over through the whole thing and checking it out and basically touching base with you. But anyways, it's Rick in the Shed. Have yourselves a great day, and happy Friday. Take care. Bye.
At the end of it, you end it with like, take care, bye-bye now.
It's kind of cool you have that feature, though. It's a neat addition to the show.
Yeah. It's kind of like a newer thing.
Yeah, we love Rick. That really sucks about the edibles not going up anymore, staying at 10 milligrams.
You know what? In a sense, I kind of understand it, though, because, like, you know, some people can't handle a lot, you know? So, like, for some people, 10 is way too much, you know?
Yeah.
So, for, like, that reason, I kind of understand. And for people that like it heavier, well, I guess they're just going to have to continue to either make their own or buy it in the black market. Because, like, I think with edibles, if you need more, then all right, Jennifer.
I ate too many delicious homemade edibles last week, and I woke up with a weed hangover. So that was horrible. I just felt super dazed out, still stoned for a few hours after I woke up. So, like, I get it, but I definitely took way more. It was probably around 200 we took that night in total.
But if they could have multiples in a package, yes. Like, if you could buy a large package, that would be good. But
that would be super great.
That'd be all right.
We'd love that one. For sure.
Yeah. Do you like edibles, Sam?
You definitely better than smoking. I think that's I think that's the way to go for. I mean, I'm definitely a lightweight especially compared to two of you. but yeah, no, the idea of just wanting to be relaxed and just take some more med or whatever. I like that a lot more than trying to get fucked up. You know?
Yeah, I understand. Like, a lot of people prefer it.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel functional in edibles like I do, like smoking a joint or, you know, smoking my pipe.
Yeah.
But edibles definitely make you have a good night's sleep. You know, it's really like great because it's a body stone, right? So it's like if you have back problems and knee problems, you know, it's a nice way to relax at the end of the day and then have a really great sleep. But I don't think I could be functional during the day on edibles.
Right. I don't think that's what they're for. Yeah. Well, some people maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Too lazy.
I don't know.
Well, I still think that, like, I don't remember if I mentioned this when you were on my show, but I feel like you got in on this podcasting thing at like the absolutely perfect time for your subject matter, because like it was, you know, it just became legal, and then you had this idea to do the show. Like it was very serendipitous, and I think that if you'd done it beforehand, like before it became legal, you still could have. And obviously there were people doing these kind of shows before that as well, but it would have just been so much trickier, right? Because now you're able to talk about it as just a thing that people do, and you can get people bringing in their samples and stuff and whatever. Like it's a legit.
It was definitely weird though at the very beginning, because like you don't really realize at the time that like you're literally putting yourself out on the internet now, on the internet smoking weed, right? And I'm like, I'm a mom, right? And like I have, you know, so like you don't really realize it at the time, but it really was about like breaking that stigma, right? Sure. And then you know, so it's like so it's funny now that it's been a few years, but it's still, that stigma's still a little bit there, because we have some people that's like, I don't know, I gotta check, you know, like that's why I don't talk about like where I work on this show, because like, you know, it's still that very prevalent, and I don't want to fuck up my career. Right?
Like I have it on my resume because I don't want to I want to be like transparent, you know, because I don't want to like come up. And, you know, it's like the last place that I was working, like I had multiple people come up to me and they're like, so I saw your podcast. And I was like, you know, some of them were like, I smoke too, you know, so like
and it's one of those things that's like everybody that I work with, like they know what I do, they all know about it, but I'm not out there trying to like push it on my same social media that I do my other work social media on, right? Yeah, for sure. So but it's you know, but it's crazy that, you know, it's not a problem if we did a podcast about us drinking beer.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'd be totally fine. I could share the shit out of that. So like that's crazy to me, you know?
For sure.
It is weird. Yeah, there's so many people who had like their own like DIY projects that were related to drinking, and still do. And it's it's bizarre that's
way more socially acceptable than smoking weed on the internet.
Yeah.
It's weird, yeah. I was on a beer podcast. I don't drink, and I was on a beer podcast, which was fun. They made me try non-alcoholic beer, which was really bad. But it was So I guess you know, to try to eventually take over the world by appearing on everyone's podcast, I think is the goal. But yeah, it's very strange.
Was that Back Alley beers?
No, that one is newer. This was oh shit, what was it called? Remember, I feel bad that I can't remember, but there was two guys. They did it for a number of years. They haven't done it in a while. That's why I'm forgetting it.
Okay.
But, and yeah, they were very serious about their alcohol. Like they not in like their drunks way, but in like they actually know. I think they both work in the industry, and they very knowledgeable. And then here's me, who hasn't had a drink since I was like 20 or something, and like I'm like, hey, okay, cool, non-alcoholic beer. This doesn't taste good. I don't like it. I can contribute nothing else to the conversation.
So I guess you're like coming kind of close to and like you do 2 shows a week, so that's gonna get you there faster. Do you have like a big plan for your 1000th?
No, I probably should. I was going to do for 500. I was going to do a big thing, and that didn't happen just because I didn't get around to it. But 1,000 seems like a lot.
Totally.
It's a milestone.
I feel like it should be something special.
Yeah. Well, I'm like 882, I think, is coming out this weekend. So I mean, 2 a week. I won't make it this year, but next year I should hit 1,000. I think. I'm terrible at math, but that sounds like it works. Soonish, yeah.
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
It's super exciting though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Shows.
So it's a lot of time to plan something super special for your 100 or 1000th.
Yeah.
It is, but I'll probably forget about it until like episode 973 or something. Then it's like, oh shit, I need to come up with something.
I'll remind you at 950. Just kidding.
You're like, hey Sam, just a reminder.
Remember, 1,000's coming.
500 away. No, 50 away. Sorry, 50 what the fuck? I'm all stoned.
500 away was a while ago. Yeah.
I feel like I've learned a lot about more local musicians because of your show. So cool. Point, I really appreciate that. And like, I don't know, recently there was that Cade Jones.
Yeah.
And that was like such a tragic thing that happened. And and then he was like on your show. So I learned about that all from your show and stuff. And
that's
I keep related too on that Winnipeg Nightlife Awards.
Yeah, that's right. I actually voted for him on there. I thought it was super cool that he was there posthumously.
For sure.
That's one of the weirdest things. I mean, like that was definitely tragic, and but it sucks when that I've done this long enough that people have died that I've interviewed. Like it's really weird. And there's been like 4 or 5 of them, which over almost 900 episodes is not that unreasonable, I guess. But like it's super shitty.
For sure.
That, like, and the best I can do in cases like that, especially when it's someone I don't know very well that I just met to talk about their music, is I just re-release the episode. I put an intro on there and say like, this sucks. I feel bad. You know, condolences to their family and friends or whatever. Here's, I guess maybe this will help to hear them talk again on a podcast.
For sure.
I don't want to have to do it, but like it's I feel like it's the only way I can kind of like, you know, pay my respects to someone who's been on the show without, because if I don't know them well, I don't want to be like acting all melodramatic, because it's like, this is my one interaction with them. I thankfully it's saved for posterity. Like I'm going to show it to you again, and maybe, you know, you'll get something positive out of hearing that person's voice again or something, you know?
For sure. When he stood for a really great cause. So that was, I feel like a big loss to the, you know, just multiple communities. So that was really sweet of you, like, to post that.
Yeah, that one's actually coming up again, because every day when this is another amount of time I probably shouldn't be spending on this, but every day, whenever I always post like on this day in whatever year such and such episode was released, and I post like you know on Instagram stories, I do a little video clip or whatever, and then on Facebook and Twitter and everything else, and like I have so many episodes now that some days there's like 5 or 6, and just like, oh shit. That Kate Jones one is coming up. Really, I saw him on my calendar, and it's like, oh, that sucks. Like you know. That this is whereas before when he was still around, it would have been like, you know, celebrating, oh, this was a great conversation I had with this up and coming young artist, and now it's like, oh, this was, you know, please listen to this again, but the circumstances are so sad.
For sure. Oh. Yeah. So have you like announced who you're releasing this week?
No, I haven't announced. Well, yeah, I guess I have, because like whenever I interview someone, I post a picture and like say, stay tuned, this is coming out. So, I mean, people know ahead of time. The one that's coming out this weekend is, I haven't talked about that one because it's a little different. Like there's a rapper called Ezoman, who's a local rapper. He has been on my show. He raps in French and English. He's Francophone. He's been on my show a few times over the years, and he does this event called The Future of Music, which is a competition. There's money, cash, and prizes and things they can win. And they do every month. There's like 4 or 5 or 6 local artists who compete, and it's based on crowd reaction. And the winner goes on to the next round or whatever. So over the last year and this year, I've kind of talked to everyone who's participating in each month and just do little 10-minute interviews with them and combine it into one big episode. So the first one of those is coming out tomorrow, I guess. And it's like fun. 5 different up and coming local artists. They're all new to me because they're like, you know, half my age, and they're just, a lot of them are just starting out. But it's kind of mostly hip hop and R&B and stuff for the genre. But he called me last year and was like, can we do something with the podcast to help promote this? And it's just, it gives me an opportunity to talk to people that I never would have even known about, right? I mean, because they're so far outside of my old man purview. So the one that's coming out now is there's 5 of them, and there are quick 10-minute interviews with one song by each artist, and it's all kind of combined into one episode. And the show is next week, the actual event for the first round of this thing. So every month, near the end of the month, I'm going to do one of these, and it's just I do quick little micro interviews with all these people and throw them into one. So that's the next one that's coming out. And then after that is with 2 members of Subcity who are doing their reunion show. I don't know if you remember Subcity Dwellers. They were kind of a ska, reggae, soul, punk rock. Yeah. They were around for years. They toured, released 3 albums. Had a really big following here, and then they broke up in 2012. And they were going to do a reunion show in 2020, and then the world fell apart, and so that didn't happen. So they're finally doing this reunion show now. So I had 2 members, guys that I've known through other bands and stuff over the years, on the show, talking about sort of the legacy of that band, and then the reunion show and stuff. So that was a fun one because I like talking to old bands that I remember from back in the day, even if they're not active anymore, because then I can be a nerd, right? Then I can be like, oh yeah, this album, this happened, and this show at the Albert or whatever. Whereas, you know, someone new, it's like, okay, cool. So who are you?
Yeah, why are you here? The interview can be completely different. Yeah. Yeah, that's super fun. Excited for that one to come out. Yeah, so where will find your podcast?
They can find it on
Shaw or Rogers.
Or whatever it's called now. I actually don't know what it's called. I just call it Shaw. No, but that's the TV thing. That's different. That doesn't have the songs. That's just the raw interview footage. So they edit it however they want to. I don't know, but I mean, I put those online too, and it's just nothing has been edited out of it. It's just here's the entire interview. But the actual podcast is edited, has intros, has songs. You can get that on witchpolice.com, which is where all the whole archive of 800 and whatever episodes live. You can also get it on all the various platforms, Spotify and iTunes and all that shit that I don't know how to use. You can get it on all those. And it's anywhere you find podcasts, you can find this thing. All the different podcast providers, it's there. And but witchpolice.com is the easiest way to find if you want to search for episodes and stuff.
Awesome.
Amazing.
And how can people find the podcast groups?
The Manitoba Podcast Festival, even though we don't actively have a festival planned yet, like a return of the festival, we have social media for the festival, and that's kind of where hopefully we will start posting a lot more stuff about the meetups. So there's a Facebook page. There's an Instagram account. There's a Twitter account that I don't remember the password for, so that might not work. But the Instagram and Facebook, I definitely know how to get into. So that's what happens when you lose a few years to the pandemic, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so those are active. You can also just get hold of me or anyone else who's involved. There's a lot of shows that are kind of regulars at these events. Sean Geek Podcast is a really good one. They've been heavily involved. Living Through Extinction is a great show. Ruby's been pretty involved in this too. There's a number of us who have kind of been like the core members of the group. So, I mean, if someone wants to know about the next meetup, which we haven't scheduled yet, just message me. I will let you know when I know and keep you up with what's happening. A lot also on the Facebook page for the Manitoba Podcast Festival. There's videos from the virtual shows, the virtual events, the festivals. Those the one with you guys on it is there too, and so they're like permanently there. So it's kind of a good resource for you want to find out about equipment or tips on how to edit a show or produce a show or whatever. There's actually like in-depth conversations with people who actually know this shit that you can watch on Facebook. So those are there permanently. So that's a good resource as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being our guest tonight, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're super happy to finally have had you on.
That hour went by so fast.
I know. It always flies by. So be sure to check out Sam on all platforms.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week with Julia Chronics.
Julia Chronics.
Yes.
Oh my
So have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
Bye,
Thank
Sam.
you. Thanks so much, Sam.
Bye, guys.
I forgot to do this one.
Which one?
This one.
There we go. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know how to log off, so I'm still here.
There we go.
I like that. That was